Hi, Mark. Welcome. It's good to see you.
Hi, good to see you. Thank you so much for having me here.
Oh, I'm glad you can take some time to talk. I know time in the academic year is very precious, so thank you for taking a little bit of time out of it. Maybe we can just start by having you introduce yourself and where you work and a little bit about what your lab does.
Sure, yeah. So my name is Mark Styczynski. I'm a professor in the School of Chemical and Biomolecular Engineering at Georgia Tech. And so I'm trained as a chemical engineer, but our work is all on the biotechnology side. And more than half of our group is focused on synthetic biology and using it to develop biosensors and diagnostics for low resource environments, specifically focusing on the developing world. And then we also do some systems biology work where basically we try and study entire biological systems, mostly small ones like yeast, but trying to measure all their metabolites, model them with computation, and see what we can learn from that.
That is two very large project areas and
Yeah.
very, very exciting. I don't know, maybe just for some context, is there one recent, I don't know, development or success in each of them that you might want to share?
Well, on our biosensor side, I think the things that we're most excited about are where we're becoming closer to translational potential. So we had one of our technologies that was recently licensed by a startup for them to try and get it out into the world. We've mostly focused on nutritional diagnostics and specifically zinc, which is actually, although not a problem you see here in the United States, is globally a tremendous problem, zinc deficiency. And so we have stuff that's kind of nudging towards translation there. And then, one of the systems biology things that excites me is actually when it winds up interfacing with our synthetic biology side. And so we have multiple papers and now kind of side projects that have spun out where the two different parts of our labs are working together and kind of studying these systems that we work in a way that nobody else is really thinking about it, and learning things about them that people would not have known or guessed otherwise. And so that's just kind of exciting for me, the discovery of the unknown. And especially it's the, back in the old school, the unknown unknowns, right? Like the things we didn't even realize were hidden under there. And yet apparently were affecting how well all of our sensors and reactions work to begin with.
Yeah, I have always felt like it is just the most wonderful synergy between the try to build something and you realize all the things you didn't know about it because it didn't work. And now you're learning all of those big gaps that you didn't even know you had, and that then helps you build the next version better. I love that that's a virtuous cycle.
Yeah.
There. It sounds like your group must be 1,000 people big. I don't know how many people you see.
We're small, and I couldn't possibly, I've actually done a lot of thinking about that. In the academic world, there's often this idea that you should bring in as much money as possible and get as many people as possible. But I've realized that kind of the way that I work and feel fulfilled and feel that I'm doing a good job is with kind of more hands-on. I don't walk in the lab behind people, but kind of lots of one-on-one meetings with my group members and not excessively, and it's always up to them whether they come or not. But it's something that I can't do at a large scale. If I had 20 people in the group, I wouldn't have an hour in the day to do anything else.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're always on the 6 to 10 side of things. And so we currently have 7 people. Just recently we had maybe 9, but yeah, so not huge, manageable.
No,
we have a small army of undergrads, and that's also the exciting thing too, is that everybody starts to work with 1 or 2 undergraduate students, and that's a great opportunity for everybody, for the undergrads to learn about research, and also for the graduate students to learn about what it's like to teach somebody and mentor them through challenging things like research.
Yeah, well, you seem like a great player coach for your graduate team, and clearly have a lot of focus and interest and thoughtfulness about your approach to education, because I do think that, yes, when you teach somebody something, there is learning on both sides that can happen and does happen a lot. So yeah, that's really cool. In fact, it is a little bit through our educational interests that we have gotten connected through the EBRC, and we've gotten to know and work together. But I would be very curious about, whether you thought you would be a faculty member as you were growing up and you always wanted to pursue academics, or were there other, did you want to be a fireman when you were growing up? Like, what were you thinking?
Yeah, that would be a more normal thing. No, I mean, I always thought I was going to be something very different, but something much more boring. I guess no offense to the people in the world that are accountants, but up until I was like 14 or 15, I was pretty certain I was going to be an accountant. And then like I took these science classes in high school and I was like, oh, I actually enjoy this. And then I took the AP test, like, oh, apparently I'm actually good at this. And then just like kind of changed my perspective. And then I went to school for chemical engineering. And then again, at that point, I didn't really know what my life would be like. And in fact, kind of like as a sophomore, I had this mini existential crisis of like, how can I do good in this world with this degree that I'm going to get? And, you know, there's degrees of doing good, right? So everybody that works at most companies is typically making something that is contributing to the happiness of individual people in society, right? And so, you know, different people have different like levels of how close they need to be to impact in order to feel fulfilled. And I'm one of the people that like, if I'm kind of somewhere more cog-like in a big, very important thing, I don't necessarily feel like I'm doing enough for me. And so I kind of like, I had some mentors that helped me to guide me through and figure out where there might be some opportunities. And for a while was thinking about kind of more chemical engineering focused things. And then I was doing undergraduate research and I'd been doing it for a while and doing it really poorly. Like not actually putting the time in, not actually going to group meetings. But then I had like a summer undergraduate fellowship where I was doing research, and like towards the end of the summer, I made this breakthrough, and it was just like, the feeling was just amazing. And like, when I went and talked to my professor afterwards, he's like, yeah, this is kind of like what I've been trying to get you to do. And I was like, oh my gosh, no, this is the
Wait, I could have been doing this all along, right?
Exactly. And so that just made me realize like, discovering the unknown was like really exciting for me. Yeah. And then the hope was that like, maybe I can put these things together of discover the unknown and then maybe like help people in a more direct way. And over time, I realized that I would have the best chance to do that in academia for me as a professor. And then probably one of the best things to happen to me from that perspective was when we started doing our synthetic biology work, because I didn't come into my faculty position looking to do that. And then I saw a call for proposals and I was like, we can do this. And it just becomes such a big part of our lab and a big part of what makes me happy. So.
Well, I do think, you know, the idea that you can do good, be connected to good work in synthetic biology as an academic, right? And there is a real joy in building things and building tools and learning things that lead to, as you say, direct societal impact and people being happier in society and being healthier and all the things we want. So that is really cool. So did you say where you went as an undergrad, what your educational path was?
I didn't. So I went to the University of Notre Dame, which is a Catholic university in Indiana. They play football, sometimes well, sometimes not well. This year, not well. But yeah, so that was also part of like, you know, so one of the people that like tried to mentor me through my like my kind of crisis was the rector, like the priest that lives in the dorm. And he was like, you know, oh, you know, I get it. This is like a good thing. Like, let me see if I can help you figure a path.
Yeah.
And then for graduate school, I went up by you to MIT.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, it sounds like you have relied on guidance and mentorship throughout, which I will say has become a theme in these conversations, whether a person has gone into industry or academics or remains a student. You know, we have all hit sort of questions and bumps and forks in the road, and it really does help to reach out and have somebody whose ideas can help, who can listen, who can, you know, be the ear that you need at that moment. Sometimes you hear the same advice over and over, and only at a particular moment when somebody says that to you, it suddenly clicks and makes sense, you know?
Yeah. And for me, like the people that have helped me along the way and have made me like happy where I am kind of motivates me to want to try and do that for others. And like, you know, I'm probably not as good of a mentor as Joan Brennicky or Steve Newton or whatnot, but like I feel like I should try. I owe it to people to try. Because yeah, I mean, multiple people over the course of my education have really like taken an interest and really cared and tried, when I'm sure they probably had other things to
Nothing more important, actually. I mean, at the end of the day, those are the things, those connections that you make to people, and seeing them advance really matters. So that's very cool. So if there was something that you could tell your past self that you wish you'd known then, other than work harder in lab.
Yeah. This is kind of, I don't know to what extent this is like professional versus personal in your question, but the thing that I would tell people, my past selves, is that like, it feels really hard right now, but the next step is going to be even harder.
Oh, that's not what I thought you were going to say.
No, because like, you know, I look back, like, you know, in high school, it's like, oh my God, there's so much to do. And then like you get to college and it's like, oh, wow, there's like so much to do. And then you get to grad school, it's like, I was worried about that college stuff. Like, that's ridiculous. And now it's like, oh wait, I'm gonna have a job and also have a family and kids. And try, like, it's just like, you think that you can't handle more, but you can. But like, to enjoy those times early on, because although it feels challenging, some of them are like really great times. And you look back at them and be like, ooh, I wish I could just worry about where I'm going Friday night.
Right. Or, you know, getting my driver's license, or I get it. And I think it all exercises that same sort of resilience and stretching muscle. Somebody once told me that, you know, it's like, if you're a rubber band and stretching, that's tension, right? But that's what it takes, is to stretch, and it puts a little tension on things, and it gets, you get more used to it. And then better able to handle the, you know, higher leverage moments that happen down the road. So well, that's so awesome. Thank you for sharing your story.
Yeah.